guys, it's Holly. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to conclude our single parent series with video number 5, and this video is going to be about what I have learned from being a single parent. So some of these might be a little bit repetitive because I've mentioned these in other videos separately. However, for the most part, this is going to be something that I feel like is beneficial and kind of just wrapping everything up and putting everything in perspective. So, let's see. We will get into it here in just a minute, but yes, this will be the last video of the single parent series. However, I will still be uploading videos on single parenting in the future, just not anything in particular, the series in particular. Can't talk straight, guys. So anyways, but I am glad you are here to listen or watch and listen, whatever you're doing. And I will go ahead and list out some of these points that I would like to make. And this video will not be as long as some of the other videos I've done in the single parent series. For time's sake, I'm trying to keep it fairly short today. Of course, that could change, but I really think we're going to be able to keep this fairly short. So the first thing, so point number 1 that I would like to make as far as benefits, kind of like I did a separate video on benefits of being a single parent, like, kind of like I did the pros and cons. So this is just specifically what I have learned and what being a single parent has taught me. So being a single parent has taught me how to problem solve and troubleshoot situations better. And the reason for this is because obviously, if you are a single parent, you're having to think differently. You're having to do a lot more things that you didn't used to have to do. A lot more things by yourself. You're having to figure out how to get help from different sources, whether that be financially, whether that be physically, whether you need somebody to watch your kids while you're working, or, just out trying to run errands or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and, certain things you might not be able to take your children to. So, like I know with me, now that we have COVID, a lot of times, almost all the time, if I have a doctor's appointment, I can't take my kids with me. I can't even take one of them because of the COVID restrictions. You're not allowed to take anyone with you. Same goes for the dentist, the eye doctor, like all these things. And so same concept when I take one of the kids to the doctor or the dentist, I can't bring anybody else. So, the pandemic has been hard in a sense, having to troubleshoot in general, so many different things. But being a single parent, obviously, making it considerably more difficult. So again, trying to figure out how you are going to do certain things, tweak certain things with your time, with your schedule, with all these different things. I mean, it can even be something as simple as figuring out how you're going to meal plan, which really isn't necessarily something simple. I mean, you have to eat, like you just have to or you'll die. So figuring out how you're going to budget and all of these things. So troubleshooting, I mean, I've always been a really good problem solver personally, but I feel that being a single parent is tremendously more helpful for figuring out, for just being a better problem solver. So secondly, my second point that I like to make is just, it has really made me the person I am. It has really made me realize that it's okay to be different, that it's okay to live my own life, and that I don't have to be like everybody else. And so I never really have been like everyone else. I've always been a little weird in a good way. I've always just been different. I've always just marched to the beat of my own drum. I've never really tried to conform or try to be like everybody else. So, and this started at a very, very early age, as far back as I can remember, but particularly by the time I was towards the end of high school, I just had no desire to be like everyone else. I just wanted to do my own thing. I didn't care what anybody else was doing. And so really from that point forward, I just did my own thing. So, and I've now been self-employed for over 6 years now, 100% self-employed for over 6 years now. So, and before that, like I said before, I had a business partner, so I was still kind of doing my own thing for a couple of years prior to that. So I have not actually worked for anyone since late 2013, early 2014. So it's been quite some years now. And then I also homeschool. And that kind of goes in with part of the troubleshooting. And I really had to figure out how we were going to make everything work for my son that's almost 7 now, as far as his school and the pandemic and my work and everything else. And we found that homeschool was best for us. So again, realizing it's okay to be different in a sense of, it's okay if my schedule doesn't look like everyone else's. It's okay if my child isn't in all these extracurriculars. It's okay if my child isn't in any extracurricular at this point. It's okay if we're not attending church at the moment, or if we are going sporadically. We are doing what we can. It's okay if my kids eat Uncrustables for breakfast. It's okay. And I think that we live in a society, especially with parenting these days, where there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to just be all of these things. You're supposed to be the mom that's fit, and the mom that's, working out and meal prepping, and, sometimes she's working, sometimes she's not. Sometimes she's a stay-at-home mom, sometimes she's a working mom. But whether she's either, she's supposed to do all of these things. Keep the house in order, and, do educational activities with the kids, go to this place, go to that place, take the kid here, take the kid there, and eat the kale smoothie, make kale muffins at 5 a.m. Oh my gosh. So a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, we are kind of living in a society that's a little bit competitive. And sadly, it is competitive in parenting, and I don't know why. And I just recently really realized this in the last few years, that parents, particularly moms, will compete and try to compete about how early can I get my kid to bed. My kid goes to bed earlier than your kid. How early can you wake up? I wake up earlier than you. And all of these things. And so being a single parent has really put me in a situation where I just have grace with myself and with my family. And I feel like that's so important, because when you're creating an unrealistic expectation, unrealistic structure, unrealistic way of living, which quite frankly is the way most people are living right now, is unrealistic and not sustainable. And that's just my opinion, my personal observation. But when you're living like that, you're really not necessarily setting yourself up for success. In a way, you can be setting yourself up for failure, because you can burn out really, really quickly. And if you burn out all of a sudden, you might find yourself in a situation where you're not getting anything done, where you're being completely unproductive, and you don't want that. So again, it's okay to just be you and just do your own thing. And the best advice I can offer is, don't look at anyone else. Don't look to anyone else. Now, it's okay to look to other people for advice and for moral support and for this and for that. But don't look at anyone to compare yourself, and don't look at anyone to try to necessarily model your life after, because you really want to create your own life. And it's okay to look at other people and think, okay, I like what they're doing with this. I like how they're handling this. I like, things like that. That's perfectly fine. But don't take every single thing and try to copycat it, because that's not healthy. It's not good for you, and it's not good for your kids. So again, just be you and have grace with yourself, and whatever your situation, just realize that you're amazing. Realize that you are raising children, and you may or may not have a lot of help. Your other, whether it's the mother or father of your children, may or may not be in the picture. They may be in the picture very little. They may or may not be providing any kind of financial support. They may or may not be taking the kids when they can. All these different things, because every single parent situation is going to look completely different. So another thing would be just simply time management and money management. Now, I was always really good with money management, and I mean, really time management too, but I've always been pretty good with money management, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I've gotten any better since having kids, just because I was already that way. But for most people, I definitely feel like that's something that is definitely in the cards with single parenting. Like, you don't have a choice. You have to be careful with your money. Regardless of how much money you have to think logically. You have to make more sound decisions and things of that nature. So, let's see. Lastly, the last point I would like to make today is single parenting has made me more empathetic and more compassionate to people in general. And so what I mean by this is that I care more about people and their individual situations. I care more about people as a whole. And I am an empath. I've always been an empath. I didn't really realize for certain that I was an empath until high school, because I was just simply too young to really understand. But since then, my empath abilities have just gone up and up and up. And honestly, with every passing year, not even, it still continues to grow. And I feel that my empath senses will continue to develop over the course of the rest of my natural life here, which is really cool. I love being an empath, but there's so much that comes with that, and that's also something else I want to do a separate video on at some point, is being an empath. Might even do an empath series. So with being an empath, yes, it's difficult, because, you feel so deeply and so strongly, and things will tend to kind of bother you more when something bad happens, or you see something like an accident on the side of the road, or someone is suffering, someone's crying. It's very amplified. And so after having kids and having been a single parent all these years and going through just the difficulties of the everyday struggle, the difficulties of just trying to figure everything out, and so much uncertainty and so much, stress, anxiety, depression, all of these things that can come with single parenting and usually do, I really feel like because of that, that's made me so much more of a nice person, which I was always a really nice person before and really empathetic before, but now it's just, oh my goodness, like, I'm one of the nicest people you will ever meet, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but seriously, because I just care about people, like, everywhere I go, I just try to be really nice to people. I mean, if someone's rude to me, I'm usually not rude back, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be super nice to someone that's rude to me necessarily. But for the most part, people are very friendly, especially down here in Texas. I very rarely will encounter anybody that's super rude, except when people are driving. People drive so crazy here, they don't know how to drive. And in a world in which most people seem to only care about themselves, it's so refreshing to be that caring, be that compassionate person. It's difficult, because when you see that other people don't act the same way that you do, don't have the same level of compassion and empathy that you do, it's hard, because it makes you feel like, okay, am I the only one that's truly human here? And you're over here just in straight survival mode, not caring about anything around you, anyone around you. You don't give a crap what happens to anybody else. And survival mode, that's another thing. Survival mode is very common, especially as a single parent. It's okay if you're in survival mode. It's okay if you're kind of like going in and out of survival mode. We were wired that way as human beings. That's actually pretty normal. So is it a good thing to stay in survival mode? I mean, no, not really, but I have definitely been there, and sometimes I am still in survival mode at times. Usually it's fairly short-lived, but it does happen, and that's just the way it is. So with survival mode, the thing is you can make a choice. You can be in survival mode and still continue to care about people around you. It is a conscious choice, I will tell you that. I know this from personal experience and from others I've spoke to. Or you can choose to be a complete asshole in survival mode and care about nothing and no one. So ultimately the choice is yours, and I hope you'll make the right decision. So anyways, guys, that is all. Yay, I'm so excited we did this in 15 minutes. This is about half the time that I've been doing my single parent videos. So again, this is wrapping up our series, and I'm so thankful for you that you have joined me. And yeah, and I'm really excited to do more videos, and I've got some really cool ideas coming up. I know I've been uploading a lot of shorts lately. I'm just going to be quite frank, as a single parent, I haven't had a ton of time to create loads of content, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty consistent, good job. So you might be seeing a lot of shorts from me in the near future, you know, and that might just go on for a while, especially during the week. And then I'm going to try to upload a longer video such as this one at least once a week, if not twice, sometimes even maybe 3 times. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. I love you.